just for orientation, so Vanessa and myself, Kai, have the pleasure of talking you through some slides that we find extremely interesting. We have a lot of slides, so you might have camera ready in order to take pictures, because we will be quite fast. We have two roles. I take a more scientific, data-driven view, and Vanessa will showcase what this means for our products. The theme that we are having is about embedded payments. So you might think, okay, what is embedded payment? But we truly believe that someone's brand, so the brand that you have built, where you have invested a lot of time, is so special that finance should more or less flow seamlessly. And with that being said, there is a certain interaction between the audience that you're trying to get yourself into, the way that you build loyalty with that audience, and at the same time, how you manage the deep integration of your products. Because ultimately, you've invested in the consumer journey, and then you're creating this point where the consumer has to take the decision, okay, am I really paying for this? So the whole kind of checkout. And we believe that this orchestration of checkout needs to be very close to the ambitions that you have. Why do we believe that? Because ultimately, ecosystems are changing. So whatever you did with your brand, you are providing direction to consumers, to B2B businesses. Doesn't really matter, but we know that the playing field has drastically changed. So it's much more about how data, together with your software and the code, actually transforms to the customer experience. And now you might think, okay, that is something that we have always done, but it gets more and more important. Because if you think about orientation and your brand and what it does, then ultimately what you're after is finding out, okay, what is my strategy on consumer lifetime value? Am I further penetrating a certain milieu? So I'm driving user acquisition, or are you trying to, in parallel, ensure that the users that you have acquired purchase more often? So you drive frequency. And ultimately, if you think about scaling your business, the whole journey of customer lifetime value is very important, and it is connecting the different needs that you have, loyalty, and the aspect of deep integration. On the data sides, we believe that every company has its orientation or provides orientation in a certain milieu. And you see that on the next slide. We had just the speaker before us was talking about sustainability at source. So we know that for instance, in Germany, as an example, sustainability is an evolving need. So we have seen that over the last decade, more and more people actually care about that topic, but caring does not necessarily mean that it drives intent and purchase. So you need to be very well aware that your milieu and the emotions that you create with your product are not only linked to your brand, but also linked to the overall experience, for instance, links to payments. And talking about payments, Vanessa will, for instance, show you that even payments can be linked to certain emotional attributes.
Yeah. So when we talk about the user experience that they expect, and if you want to reach higher levels of satisfaction, it's crucial that you, at the one hand, of course, cater for the hygiene needs, which is that it's trustworthy, that it's secure, and also convenient, so easy to use, but also those needs that are add-on. So, for example, that it's flexible, that it's conscious, human, and welcoming in the whole process. And when you look at those needs and map them to the different payment methods used, one can have a look here, example, Germany, what payment methods have been used in the past months. You can map those emotional needs to the different payment methods. And even though payments is quite local, so in some countries you have a local payment method at the top, the emotional needs behind it are quite stable and vary just in the degree of the country. What does it mean then when you look into buy now, pay later? So here the product needs, on the one hand, the concept itself caters for some of the emotional needs. For example, that you receive the good before you pay gives a level of trust and security, but also that you can manage your cash flow by postponing a payment or splitting it up gives you flexibility. And consumers also expect that this is done in a digital, convenient way. And from Riverty side, how do we match our products to those different needs? Is that we do have our payment suite with different payment methods from invoice, a monthly consolidated invoice, direct debit, but also part payment options in the checkout, but also post-purchase.
Yes, and when you think back about that slide, how the payment distributes in Germany, there is still the question, what is really the right order of payments in my checkout? For some of you, this might be coming natural because you're really dealing with it, but there is a moderation between your target audience, those that you are selling your services to, where your brand is being perceived, and the order and the management of the checkout. So it makes a huge difference what payment method you have on top, what is second, what is third, based on the products, the AOV, and whatever you are selling. What we are generally doing is that we have a so-called conjoint analysis where we are measuring your brand, how well it resonates in certain milieus, so meaning with your consumer base, and what your consumer base is thinking about the different payment methods. And once we have that, we run it through a simulation, and then in that simulation we can configure your attributes, so your AOV, what kind of segment you are servicing, and what would be the best linkage and mentioning of payment method in the checkout in order to drive maximum conversion. So at this point, a lot of slides. I think the important message is that your brand is special. What you did has been fantastic. So think also about payments in the checkout before you continue, because you might miss out on certain things. So suppose you have gained that consumer, then the next topic is loyalty. And loyalty, again, very important. We all know from data, okay, what drives loyalty, and that is very more or less the same. So loyalty has a lot to do with being trustworthy, what other people tell about you, what your customers, the social network is telling. But ultimately, so what this slide shows is that the omni-channel experience that obviously all of you are trying to manage is so important. And it's really about ensuring that the data points that you want to collect can be collected in order to drive the customer experience. And how that could look like from an omni-channel perspective, Vanessa will talk us through.
So let's make that concrete. So here we brought a best practice example with us. So Terstal, one of the biggest fashion retailers in the Netherlands with over 200 stores. They have a quite elegant solution to connect loyalty and payments in the omni-channel. And how they do that, they use their loyalty card to authenticate the user at the store. So you don't need any terminals or something like that. You just show your loyalty card, and then you have the same variety of choice in payments than you have online. So you can pay immediately via an invoice and get the invoice into your touch point. So connecting their loyalty card with the payment options they offer then in both channels. And let's have a closer look at more solutions, how you can embed payments, and there you can differentiate between different levels. So first level is that you get to know the payment journey of your customers. So really know what happens after the purchase. The second level then is to use those payment touch points with your payment provider to expose your branding more in the payment journey that's coming after the purchase. And then third level, if you want to go fully embedded, then of course the most relevant operations in the payment process you can integrate into your touch point.
So one of the first things that you should ask yourself when you think about payments is, what data am I actually getting back? So is that a point in time where the consumer and the consumer purchase is basically leaving me and I'm just getting the money? Or do I get any other information back from the payment provider? Why is that important? If you want to have any kind of embedded experience, it's always the same. It's about data, the code that you can develop on the data, and lastly, also I should not move at all. I'm sorry for that. So that's the last one. And the slide looks a bit complex, but actually it's not. It gives some guidance in terms of your thinking. You need to think about the systems that you have in the journey. So that starts with your ERP system, your order management system, your CRM system. So what are the systems that you have in place? What's the analysis that you want to run in order to drive a customer experience? What's the data that you can collect? And last but not least, what are the collaborations that you need in order to drive a holistic journey? Ultimately, you need to find and map the journey to your brand to be authentic, to ensure that the values that you want to represent are always seen in from the customer experience point in time. And once you have achieved that, there will also be a correlation with the price that you can ask. So it's really worthwhile thinking about this journey, even though it might look a bit complex. How this can feel from a product level, Vanessa will talk us through.
Yeah. So let's dive into more product examples. So as I said, first level is to get to know the payment journey of your customers. So it's crucial that you choose a provider. Not only it's important to look at what's in the checkout, but also do you get the data of the payment journey from your payment provider. And especially in Buy Now, Pay Later, the payment journey is quite long. So after the purchase, a lot is happening in the payment journey that you might miss out. And at Riverty, we do share data on various levels. So depending on the resource capacity, on the skill set you have in-house, we do have, for example, tailored reportings, easy to read, but also share raw data in our message queues with our partners and merchants, so that you can integrate it into your own systems. And how relevant the payment touchpoint is, here's some aggregated data to show that. So in Riverty, it's not that we're nurturing the customers into our touchpoint, so you don't need to log in to pay. But still, we see a large proportion of users using our touchpoints. And there, they, of course, see their invoice, they pay their invoice, but also register a return or pause the payment to have just more time to pay. And those contacts with the customer you can use, and coming to the second level of embeddedness. So that's more a lightweight one. So how can you expose your branding in the payment touchpoint and upload your logo, hero images, and use this for the messaging for your brand. And this is something that we offer, that you can do that in the payment touchpoints. When you then have the data and use the touchpoint already, you can still decide, okay, I want to go all the way through, full embeddedness, so that you would like to integrate some of the most important functionalities into your own touchpoint. For example, seeing an invoice, paying an invoice, initiating a return, and integrate it into yours. And that's something that we offer then as a third level of embeddedness in payments. And here an overview some of the different operations that are used and that we offer. So especially the return notification, something where a lot of merchants already have this into their system. So there we look, okay, how can we integrate that that the customer gets everything in the merchant touchpoint, and we update then the invoice, and you can pay, for example, after return what's left. Or that you see the invoice in your own brand's touchpoints and pay it there.
Cool. I think that's it. So, main message, ask what data you get from your payment provider, check your checkout, and if there's any questions on how to translate it into an embedded experience, then we would be very happy to answer all your questions.
We have a few questions that we wanted to ask you internally. And the first one pertaining to the impact of payment solutions on e-commerce. How does Riverty's payment solutions impact the overall e-commerce experience for customers?
So, I mean, we just saw some of the data that we presented. I mean, payments is a crucial part of the whole or your whole buying journey, and that's something where it does not stop. So with Buy Now Pay Later, you even go longer and beyond it. And to have like a good brand exposure and purchase experience, payments is just a crucial part of it that can decide if you are satisfied with the purchase you've done or not. So I think it's really something that can drive the value, and we also see in the data that it drives loyalty for merchant.
With loyalty being so big in e-commerce today, right? There's companies specifically dedicated to help facilitate loyalty initiatives. How does this impact your approach to helping e-commerce businesses?
So we have a close partnership with our merchants. We have a co-branded approach, so we would like to make the extend the experience that the consumer has with the merchant, and also help them to get a good experience to revisit the shop and revisit again and again to drive this customer lifetime value. And that's something, I think, looking at the customer for the lifetime value, that's super important, and especially in payments, of course, where you do have also or can have negative experience, it's super crucial that you turn it into a positive one.
Absolutely. I know once you get to that point when you're online buying something and when it's complicated or the transaction doesn't go through, you panic and you have a mini heart attack. So you're absolutely right there. Next question I'll direct to you, Kai. Innovations in payment processing. What innovative payment processing methods does Riverty offer to improve e-commerce transactions?
The product that Vanessa developed, monthly invoice, pretty innovative because of some regulations with PSD2. We were basically ensuring that we can have a seamless experience without all the two-factor authentications. So that was, we have something on return suppression. So for customers that have high returns, we have a very innovative product in order to suppress returns. And in general, I would say this embedded finance and data sharing, believe it or not, is pretty innovative because, I mean, one thing is us sending data, the other topic is about for you receiving and making something out of the data. So that's, I think, currently the main challenge.
Okay. And then what future trends do you see in e-commerce payment solutions, and how is Riverty preparing for these changes?
So what we see, of course, is a trend of regulation. So we will expect more regulation to protect the consumer, protect overspending, but also fraud. So that's something definitely that will shape the payment industry in the next years.
And then I'll leave it each of you to have a closing remark or statement with anything you'd like to share with us.
You invested so much in your brand, don't let it be taken away.
Nothing to add, that's a good one.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please give a final warm round of applause to Vanessa and Kai from Riverty.